Yo, yesterday we talked about ratios. Actually, we talked about proportions, right? The day before that was ratios. So a proportion is two ratios equal each other. Now, today we're going to talk about solving percent problems because you're going to use proportions to do that. So a percent, this word actually means per cent. Cent, think of the word century, is 100. So per 100. So 70% is 70 out of 100. That's the same as 70%, right? 21% is 21 per 100. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at this tree. This is 7.3, looking at the tree. A service club is planting trees in the area just for fun and to benefit the generations to come. Out of 240 newly planted seedlings, so they got 240 of these they're planting, 15 of them are laurel sumac. I hope I said that right. A certain type of tree. 15 of them are that. What percent of the seedlings are laurel sumac? So 15 out of 240 total. Okay? Working with these percent problems, the bottom number is always the total. So 15 out of 240 total is the same as some percent. We're setting up a proportion here. P out of 100. Every time, you'll be setting it up as something out of 100, P out of 100, or if you know the percent, it'll be 70 out of 100 if it's 70%, okay? So, now could you solve that? Yeah, because yesterday you just learned about proportions, so 15 times 100 divided by 240. 15 times 100 is the same as 240 times P, so divide both sides by 240. 15 times 100 divided by 240 would get you to P, the number of plants. And they're going to solve that way down here. I don't have space to move this. The answer, down in example 1, which you should have your book at home, checking this out. I'll find a way to scoop this up later, is 6.25. That comes out to 6.25. Now, the question didn't ask you to find out what P is. The question said, what percent of the seedlings are laurel sumac? So the answer is 6.25%. Okay? Oh, there we go. 6.25% of them are laurel sumac. 15 out of 240 turns into 6.25%. Okay, let's take a look at this. Solving percent problems. You're going to have a ratio, and you're going to set it equal to a percent, which we're going to write as P out of 100 every time. Okay? A is part of the base B. A is part of the total, just like we had 15 was part of the total 240. And P percent, or P out of 100, is the percent. Okay, let me turn the page here. Now, where it gets a little fuzzy is an example like this. Okay? Your school newspaper's budget this year is 160% of last year's budget. Did you know you can have a percent that's bigger than 100? All right? So, for example, if 100% of your budget is 83 bucks, okay, you got 83 bucks, and you spent 100% of it, you spent 83 bucks. If you keep spending more with a credit card, you're now spending more than 100% of your budget. That's bad. So the budget this year is 160% of last year's budget. Ooh, so last year's budget was smaller than this year's budget. Last year's budget was 2,125. What's this year's budget? So, first step, write a percent proportion. Always always start by writing a percent proportion, okay? And that looks like this. A over B equals P over 100, always. I'm not going to write it, I'm just going to move my paper. Now, A is part of the total. This ratio over here, A over B, is the ratio of the budgets. Okay, this is this year's budget compared to last year's budget. This year's percent compared to last year's percent. All right, now we're going to solve this, and I'll show you a trick to understand this a little better in a second. Okay, so 2125 goes down here. It looks like they're going to cross multiply to figure this out, or actually they just multiplied both sides by 2125. You already know how to solve this. Simplify. A is 3,400. So this year's budget is $3,400. It's more than last year's budget. Does that make sense? Sometimes you just got to ask yourself, does this make sense? Should I really, should I really slide down this icy hill on one leg? All right. Does this make sense? Last year's budget was $2,125. This year's budget is more. Yeah, it does make sense because this year's budget is 160% of last year's budget. So 3,400, that looks about right. 3,400 over 221.25 is the same as 160 over 100. Okay. Finding a base. What if you have this? 24 over B equals 0.8 over 100. 0.8% would look like this. 0.8 out of 100. Let's see if they cross multiply. Yep, 24 times 100 is the same as B times 0.8. They figure out that B is 3,000. Now what I really want to get to, and I'm going to have to shift this around a little bit. Sorry, let me move this guy. Alright. What I really want to get to is this. This right here is going to be your lifeline in this assignment. So if your assignment asks you, some number like 20 is what percent of 89? Then you're going to look back at this and say, oh, that follows this pattern. And I'm going to set up a percent proportion. And I'm going to put 20 over 89 equals P out of 100. And I'm going to solve for P because I don't know P. Or if the question says, what number is 80% of 2,000? What number is 80% of 2,000? Well, then you're going to set it up like this. You already know 80%. 80 is going to go there. Okay, let's do a couple examples of this. Let me move this back up. I'm going to refocus that just for good measure. All right, let me pull this over here. Let's do an example. 39 is what percent of 50? This is going to be in your assignment, I bet, so pay attention. 39 is what percent of 50? Well, slide this over. Which example does that follow? If you look at the bottom of the screen there, that follows this example, or this question, right? Something is what percent of something else. 39 is what percent of 50? Okay, so I'm going to, sweet, I got them both on the screen there. Okay, so I'm going to set up a percent proportion, A over B equals P out of 100. And in this question, we had A is what percent of B. And in our question, we had 39 is what percent of 50. 39 is the A, 50 is the B. Okay, so 39 out of the total 50 equals P out of 100. We don't know the percent, that's what we want to know. So now we just got to cross multiply. 39 times 100, which is 3,900, equals 50p. Divide both sides by 50, and you'll get some awesome correct answer. that will knock my socks off. All right? Let's try another one. What if the question looks like this? This one's weird. 179.2 is 32% of what number? So think about this in your head for a sec. 179 is 32% of some bigger number. Well, we got to figure out what that bigger number is that 179 is 32% of. Okay? I know this can be a little confusing, but if you keep switching back and looking back at page 328 and seeing which question it follows and then set it up accordingly, you'll be able to do this. Okay, so let me see what this follows. Which question over here? Ooh, it looks like this one. Does this sound familiar? 179.2 is 32% of what number? So let's set it up like this. A over B, and the red one here, I don't know if you can tell if that's red or not, is what we're solving for. Alright, here's our percent proportion. Move this back. 15. Number 15. 179.2 is 32% of what number? Okay, so 179.2, and I'm not going to move that back, is the same as A, because back on that question over there, it said A is 32% of what number? We don't know the B, so I'm going to leave B here. Okay, we don't know the B. Equals, and what percent was it? It was 32%. It's always 32 over 100. And now we could solve that. So, 179, 20 like that, multiplied by 100 equals 32B. Divide by 32, both sides, to get B all by itself. 17,920 divided by 32 would give you, and I'm actually using a student edition textbook, not my teacher's edition. And so I'm actually going to do this one on my phone real quick. Divided by 32. 560. B is 560. That means 179.2 is 32% of 560. Does that look about right? 179.2 out of 560. Yeah, that's about 32%. That's about a third of 560, isn't it? Okay. Let's do maybe 2 more examples. Let's look at one word problem. Number 19. The largest crocodiles alive today are 24 feet in length. Ooh, I'm going to just draw a length here. Okay, 24 feet. That's a huge crocodile. Recently, researchers discovered bones of an ancient crocodile. It was 167% as long as today's crocodile. So, how long was the ancient crocodile? Okay, so I know I'm setting up a percent proportion here. A over B is the same as 167% out of 100. So, bigger one on top, smaller on bottom like this, bigger number. So bigger crocodiles dimensions here, smaller crocodiles here. Just like, do you remember proportions? When we had feet over inches is the same as feet over inches, not inches over feet. We keep the same units, right? That's what's going on here. We've got bigger percent out of 100 this 167% is talking about the big crocodile. So big crocodile's dimensions over the current crocodile's dimensions, which is 24. So I'm going to put 24 in here for B. Okay? So let's solve this and see if this makes any sense. See if this looks right. I'm going to do 24 on my calculator times 167, and then I can just straight away divide by 100. 40.08 is what A is.